Hi everybody, welcome to another video, and happy Earth Day. I felt like there's no better place to make this video than outside on Earth Day. So today's video was inspired by something I had briefly discussed on my podcast. If you haven't already listened to my podcast, make sure you go check that out, Sugar, Spice, and Spirituality. It's on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts. I think it's on Apple Podcasts as well. I might be mistaken. And then make sure to go follow our social media pages, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, to see updates and just to interact with us. And we really, really want the podcast to be like audience focused, you know? So anyways, so on my podcast, we briefly discussed the topic of like soul connections, soulmates, twin flames, kind of, soul groups, and soul contracts. And I realized when we were discussing it on the podcast that this is a topic that, I deeply resonate with and, kind of discuss these fundamentals all the time, but I've never made a video about it. So I thought now would be the perfect time to make that video. So basically, I use the term soul connection rather than the term soulmate. And I do that because I just feel like soulmate kind of is one of those words that's a little bit been overused. And I also feel like it's been romanticized. So like when you hear soulmate, your first thought goes to like a romantic partner, and that is not necessary. It does not need to be a romantic connection for your souls to, have a remembrance of another soul. The other thing about soul connections that I think is very interesting and isn't necessarily discussed a lot is there is two types of soul connections. So there's the really karmic, deep, intense soul connections, which I will discuss further after this. And that's going to be like your romantic relationships, like maybe like your mom or your dad, or just really relationships with somebody that is very intense one way or another. The other type of soul connection, and this isn't talked about as much, is like those soul connections where you're in a public place, a grocery store maybe, or like a train station, or walking down the street, and you make eye contact with another person, and all of a sudden there's that feeling of remembrance or familiarity. Like, I know that person. I recognize you. There's that moment of, you recognize each other. And that's really as far as that connection goes. Those are also soul connections, and I believe that those type of connections are sent to us on a spiritual level, almost as like a pat on the back from the universe, or from like your spirit guides or your spirit team. Like, hey, like, you're doing great, like, keep going. Or like maybe on like a conscious level, you may not realize that you're having this recognition of this other soul, but on an unconscious, on a subconscious level, you very much so are aware of this interaction with that soul, and that could start, a fire within you on an unconscious level. And so that's why I believe that, and I wanted to touch on those because those are very important. And even though it may not have a dramatic effect on your life as much as like other soul connections, those connections are also important. So whenever you have that moment of recognition with another, even though you've never seen them or they're a complete stranger on the street, you probably have a soul connection with that. I also want to make with that person, I also want to make a small disclaimer really quick that technically you have a soul connection with every being, every soul, every plant, every animal, every being, because every soul is just a fractal of source. And so we are all one. We all come from the same source consciousness. We are just having individual experiences. So I want to make that kind of disclaimer, like, technically you're connected to every soul, but soul connections, I believe, are when we have a karmic, sorry, my kids are outside having the time of their lives right now, so you might hear them playing in the background. Not sorry about that at all, actually. So karmic connections are basically So when you have a soul connection, I believe, is a connection that has a lot of karmic energy attached to it. Now, karma could be good or bad, okay? Karma's really just an influx of energy. It's just energy intensified. So when you have a reaction to something, you create a karmic reverberation. So say if you have in this life, maybe a partner, and you guys are, have a soul connection, that you've, had experiences with this person in a past life, more times than not, it's because you have a karmic reverberation from that person from other lives. So there's two things with this. Number one is that you, with other souls, will reincarnate many times with like the same energetic themes but different roles. So like in one life, like, this person could be this person could be like your partner, and then in like a past life they may have been a parent and you were the child, and then like in another life maybe they were like an abuser of some sort, or you were an abuser of some sort. So like what will happen is, why you reincarnate with the same like soul connections is because you're trying to neutralize the karma from many lifetimes together. And like I said, that karma could be good and all loving, or that karma could be bad and like abusive or traumatic. And so that's why with certain people you may have such strong gravitational pulls, is because your soul knows that you and this person have unfinished karma that needs to be worked through, whether that be negative or positive. The other topic I want to bring up is soul groups. So I firmly believe that you have a certain group of souls or people that you continuously reincarnate with, and this soul group, obviously you have karmic connections with as well, but for the most part, your soul group, how I perceive it, is like your anchors. So there is of course, like with anything, there is karma, there's experiences you have with these people, but for the most part, you guys come together with a mission or a purpose together. And these can show up in any different forms. So like the perfect example for me, my sister, my cosmic sister, the other half of the astral realm, she's not my blood sister. She was my neighbor, my across the street neighbor. And she's 3 years older than me, and we have always just clicked. And like, think back into your life, how many childhood friends or neighbors did you have that like are no longer like a big role in your life? Like, just because, you know what I mean? Like, but she stuck for a reason. And not only did she stick with me, she stuck with my family. Like, we always even called her our last name. Like, she's always been, and I firmly know she's part of my soul group, and that our souls, we may not come into the same family unit, or we may not come as like partners or anything like that, but we purposely incarnate near each other or around each other because we are always going to be in each other's lives. Something like that is your soul group. And the number of who could be in your soul group truly and really is unlimited. The next topic I wanted to bring up is soul contracts. So, and I'm bringing them all up right now because they all tie in together. So soul contracts, basically, before we enter into the physical 3D earth plane, before we come here, before we incarnate here again, our souls create or make a idea of the themes and experiences they want to experience. So because we're all fractals of source consciousness, the intentions of having an individual incarnation as a being, a physical being, is to experience. Because when we're part of the all, we know. And we individualize from the whole into individual people and beings so we can experience different things. Because as source, we cannot experience, we just know. As humans, we get to experience. So we come with the intention of experiencing, right? Our contracts are basically what we write for ourselves when we don't have an ego. As souls, there is no such thing as an ego. An ego is something that we, as beings, as physical beings, have as a protectant and as basically a shield. But as a soul, we don't have an ego. There is no good and bad. There is only experiences. So we create whatever the themes are that our soul at a higher level, at a higher perspective, knows that we want to experience and what we want to learn. And so we create things or themes. It's not even things because there's free will and free choice and whatever. But it's themes of energetic events that we want to experience so we can fully experience. We also have other beings, other souls, sign our contracts and say, I'll come into your life to help you learn this, and you come into my life to help me learn that. And we set these themes up with other souls. And so that's also why certain soul connections come into your life, because before you came here, you and that soul agreed in your guys' contracts that we're going to come to Earth and we're going to help each other experience this, see this, learn this, whatever that may be. So, like I said, every single soul technically is a soul connection, but that is why there's certain people that you meet. You know, there's those certain coworkers that just come into your life and they aren't going to leave, or they leave an lasting impression, or teachers or mentors, or, you know, parent or whatever. And it's because we, before we come here, make contracts for ourselves and with others of different themes and energetic experiences that we choose to experience in this incarnation. And not only that, it's karmas we're trying to clear. So, like I said, in the lifetimes, you may have like, so say in this lifetime, you and your dad have an awful relationship. And he's maybe abusive, maybe emotionally and mentally, say. Well, in a past lifetime, in the last lifetime, you may have been his boss and you were very verbally and mentally abusive to him. And there was karma created there, so then now you come into this lifetime and the roles are reversed. And then next lifetime, you guys may incarnate together, and you may be, you know, your father in this lifetime may be your wife in the next lifetime, and you're an abusive husband and you beat him. And then in the next lifetime, you guys come together, and since you were abusing him in that last lifetime, he murders you in this next lifetime. And it continues until you can do the work on your inner self and realize that everything and everyone is just a reflection of self, and an opportunity and a moment for you to grow and learn and evolve and neutralize any karma stored from past relationships and past bondages you have with other souls. I hope this video helps. I hope this all kind of made sense. Like I said, it's kind of a spur of the moment video, but I felt like we didn't touch upon it as much as I wanted to in the podcast, and I felt like it's a very interesting topic. If you guys want more on this information or have more specific questions, I would love to answer them. So, you know, please reach out to me via either in the comments, or you can send me a personal message, or whatever works for you. And I would love to make a maybe more in-depth video about this, or answer questions for you guys. But yeah, this was just a quick brief overview of those topics and those concepts and those phrases. Thank you all so much for all of your support and love, and I appreciate every single one of you. Be sure, if this video helped you or you liked it, to like, comment, share, of course subscribe. Thank you all, and I will see you guys next time. Happy Earth Day.